The day my sister, Emily, announced her pregnancy, I felt an overwhelming rush of joy. We had always been close. At least that's what I believed. From childhood to adulthood, we had shared secrets, dreams, and late-night conversations about life. So when she told me she was going to be a mother, I felt as if I, too, was stepping into a new chapter of my life. Not just as her sister, but as an aunt to the little soul she was bringing into the world. From that moment, I knew I wanted to give her something special. Not just another baby blanket or a store-bought gift wrapped in shiny paper, but something that carried meaning. Something that would remind her of where we came from, of the bond we shared, and of the love that had always surrounded us. That's when the idea struck me. A handmade photo album. I could already picture it in my mind. It wouldn't just be a collection of photos, but a journey through time, capturing our most cherished moments. I envisioned pages decorated with handwritten notes, childhood pictures, and little anecdotes that would bring back memories. I wanted this album to be something she would treasure forever, something she would show her child one day and say, "This was made with love by your aunt." So I began working on it. I spent days going through old photo boxes, carefully selecting the perfect pictures. Pictures of us as little girls running barefoot in the backyard, giggling under the summer sun, and huddling under blankets during thunderstorms. Pictures of our family trips, birthdays, and the small, seemingly insignificant moments that had shaped our bond. Each page of the album told a story. On one page, there was a picture of us from when she was 6 and I was 8, sitting on the kitchen floor, covered in flour after a failed attempt at baking cookies. Underneath I wrote, "From making a mess in the kitchen to making lifelong memories. Some things never change." Another page held a photo of us as teenagers, laughing uncontrollably during a sleepover, tangled in a mess of blankets and junk food. I wrote, "Sisters by birth, best friends by choice." I even left space in the album for the next chapter of her life. The pictures of her baby, the milestones, the little feet and tiny hands that would soon fill her world with joy. I spent weeks perfecting every detail, making sure that each page reflected the love and care I poured into it. It wasn't just a gift. It was a piece of my heart. And finally, the day of the baby shower arrived. The house was filled with laughter and the scent of freshly baked treats. Balloons in soft pastel shades floated across the ceiling, and the sound of chatter filled the air. Emily was glowing with happiness, surrounded by friends and family who had come to celebrate her. I walked in, holding the neatly wrapped album close to my chest. Excitement bubbled inside me. I couldn't wait to see her reaction. I imagined her eyes lighting up, her voice catching with emotion as she flipped through the pages. But I had no idea that what I had created with so much love would be met with nothing but indifference. The house was alive with energy. Laughter echoed through the living room as guests arrived, each carrying beautifully wrapped gifts in pastel blues and pinks. The scent of vanilla and cinnamon filled the air, mixing with the sweet aroma of fresh flowers arranged across the tables. A large banner hung over the fireplace that read, "Welcome baby," in elegant gold lettering. Emily stood in the center of it all, glowing in a soft pink dress that perfectly complemented her radiant smile. Her hands rested on her baby bump as she chatted with friends, accepting hugs and warm wishes. She looked truly happy, and seeing her like that made my heart swell with joy. I held the gift close to my chest as I made my way through the crowd, exchanging polite smiles and greetings. The photo album felt heavier in my hands than it actually was, almost as if it carried the weight of my emotions. My love, my memories, my hopes for her and the baby. "Hey, there you are." Emily spotted me and waved, her face lighting up. "Hey Em," I said, wrapping my arms around her gently. "How's the mommy-to-be feeling?" "Exhausted but excited," she laughed. "I can't believe how many people showed up. It's overwhelming but in the best way possible." I smiled, glancing around at the decorations, the gifts, and the joyful faces of people who had come to celebrate her. "You deserve it. And I got you something special." "Ooh, can't wait to see it," she said before someone else called her name, pulling her into another conversation. I took a seat near the gift table, carefully placing my album among the dozens of other presents wrapped in shiny ribbons and expensive paper. My heart raced in anticipation. I had imagined this moment so many times. Her unwrapping my gift, gasping in surprise, maybe even tearing up as she flipped through the pages. I had envisioned her hugging me, telling me how much it meant to her. But as the baby shower went on, I noticed something strange. Emily was excitedly opening gifts. Designer baby clothes, top-of-the-line baby monitors, beautifully crafted nursery furniture. With each gift, she squealed in delight, thanking the giver repeatedly. But when it came to my gift, she barely glanced at it. "Oh, this is nice," she said casually, flipping through the first few pages without really reading them. She closed the album just as quickly as she had opened it and set it aside, moving on to the next box without a second thought. I sat there, frozen, my hands gripping the armrest of the chair. Had she even seen what was inside? Had she noticed the carefully chosen pictures, the handwritten notes, the little details I had spent weeks perfecting? I swallowed hard, forcing a smile as the other guests continued chatting happily, completely unaware of the dull ache settling in my chest. I had imagined so many reactions from her, but disappointment was never one of them. I watched as Emily moved on, her excitement unshaken, her focus shifting to the next gift as if mine had never existed. I tried to brush off the tight knot forming in my stomach, telling myself that maybe she was just distracted, overwhelmed by the number of presents in front of her. But deep down, something inside me cracked. The photo album, my labor of love, was now buried under a pile of wrapping paper, barely acknowledged. I had spent weeks perfecting it, pouring my heart into every page, carefully placing each picture and writing each note with the hope that she would cherish it. But to her, it was just another item among the many. She probably didn't realize what it was, I muttered under my breath, trying to reassure myself. She'll appreciate it later. But even as I tried to believe my own words, I couldn't shake the lingering disappointment. "Are you okay?" My cousin Sarah leaned in, her voice soft with concern. I forced a smile. "Yeah, just a little tired." She followed my gaze to the forgotten album and sighed. "I saw what you made for her. It was beautiful. Honestly, I think it's one of the most thoughtful gifts here." I felt my throat tighten, my emotions threatening to spill over. "Thanks," I whispered. Sarah gave my hand a gentle squeeze before getting up to mingle with the other guests. I stayed seated, watching as Emily laughed, her hands running over a plush baby blanket someone had gifted her. The warm glow on her face, the excitement in her eyes. It was all there for the expensive gifts. But for mine, nothing. I had always believed that it was the thought that counted. That handmade gifts, crafted with love and care, were more valuable than anything money could buy. But at that moment, sitting among people who didn't notice the quiet ache in my heart, I wondered if I had been wrong all along. Maybe love wasn't measured in effort. Maybe it was measured in price tags. And maybe, just maybe, I had overestimated my place in my sister's heart. As the baby shower carried on, I found myself withdrawing, my presence blending into the background. Laughter echoed around me, conversations flowed effortlessly, and yet I felt like an outsider in a place where I was supposed to belong. Emily remained the center of attention as she should be. It was her day after all. But as I watched her fawn over extravagant gifts while mine sat forgotten, I couldn't help but feel a dull ache settle in my chest. I excused myself quietly, slipping into the kitchen where trays of half-eaten cupcakes and empty punch glasses sat abandoned. I gripped the edge of the counter, taking slow, deep breaths. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe she'll look at it later and realize how special it is. But the rational part of me, the part that had witnessed how little she cared, knew better. Footsteps approached behind me. "Hey!" Sarah's voice was gentle, knowing. "You okay?" I turned to her, forcing a smile. "Yeah, just needed a minute." She leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "You don't have to pretend with me." I exhaled sharply, looking down at my hands. I thought she'd love it, you know? I thought it would mean something to her. But it was like she didn't even care. Sarah nodded, her expression soft. "Some people don't know how to appreciate things that don't come with a price tag." I let out a bitter chuckle. Guess I learned that the hard way. She placed a comforting hand on my arm. I saw the effort you put into that album. It was beautiful. And even if she doesn't see it now, one day she might. Yeah, I said, but I wasn't sure if I believed it. The rest of the party was a blur. I stayed out of the way, watching as Emily laughed, completely unaware of the hurt I was carrying. By the time guests began leaving, I was already reaching for my coat, ready to slip away unnoticed. But as I turned toward the door, Emily's voice called out, "You're leaving already." She looked surprised, as if she had just now realized I was still there. "Yeah," I said, forcing a smile. "Long day." She hugged me quickly, her mind clearly still preoccupied with the excitement of the day. "Thanks for coming. And for the gift. I'll look at it properly later." I nodded, but I wasn't holding my breath. As I stepped out into the cool evening air, I realized something painful yet necessary. I had spent my whole life putting effort into a relationship that wasn't as mutual as I had believed. And maybe it was time to stop waiting for appreciation that would never come. The drive home was silent, the hum of the car engine the only sound accompanying my thoughts. The streets outside blurred into streaks of city lights, but my mind was elsewhere, stuck in that room on that forgotten album, on the way Emily had so easily cast it aside. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, swallowing the lump forming in my throat. Why does this hurt so much? It wasn't just about the album. It was about everything it represented. The memories, the bond one thought we shared, the years of love and devotion I had poured into being her sister. And yet, in that moment, it all felt so insignificant. When I arrived home, I set my purse on the counter and kicked off my shoes. The apartment was quiet, a stark contrast to the warmth and noise of the baby shower. I sank onto the couch, staring at nothing in particular, feeling the weight of unspoken emotions settle over me. My phone buzzed. "Emily, hey. Thank you for coming today. Meant a lot. Love you." I stared at the message, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. Do I tell her how I feel? Would she even understand? I sighed, locking the screen. What was the point? She hadn't noticed my disappointment then. Why would she now? My gaze drifted toward a bookshelf where old photo albums sat neatly stacked, each one filled with childhood memories. I had always been the one to keep them, the one who held onto our past like a treasure, while Emily had moved forward without a second thought. A sudden impulse took hold of me. I walked over, pulled out an album, and flipped through its pages. Pictures of us as kids, birthday parties, family vacations. Moments that had meant everything to me. But now they felt different. Had I been the only one who cared this deeply all along? Tears pricked the corners of my eyes, but I blinked them away. I had spent my entire life making sure Emily knew how much she was loved, how much she mattered. But did she ever do the same for me? And if she didn't, then why was I still trying so hard? Sleep didn't come easily that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my thoughts looping in an endless cycle of memories and self-doubt. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the way Emily had brushed past my gift, how effortlessly she had dismissed something I had poured my heart into. By morning, exhaustion clung to my body, but so did a strange sense of clarity. I couldn't keep doing this. I had spent so much of my life investing in a relationship that wasn't balanced, giving without expecting much in return, convincing myself that love was about effort, even if it wasn't reciprocated. But now I was starting to see things differently. Love should be reciprocated. It should be appreciated, acknowledged, not taken for granted. I grabbed my phone and stared at Emily's message from the night before. My fingers hesitated before I finally typed back. "I'm glad you had a good day. Love you too." It was simple. No mention of the album. No hidden plea for recognition. Just a polite response, free of expectation. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel the need to chase validation. I went about my morning as usual. Coffee, a quick breakfast, getting lost in my own world. But something was different. The hurt was still there, lingering beneath the surface. But so was a quiet acceptance. Later that afternoon, as I was scrolling through my phone, a message popped up. Emily. I finally had a chance to look through the album. Wow. You really put so much effort into it. It's beautiful. Thank you. I stared at the message, feeling nothing. No surge of relief. No overwhelming joy. Just a calm realization that it had taken her this long to see something that had meant so much to me. And that in itself said everything. Instead of waiting for the appreciation I had always craved, I simply responded, "I'm glad you liked it." And with that I let go. Of expectations. Of disappointment. Of the need to keep proving my worth to someone who should have already seen it. Days passed, and I found myself thinking about the baby shower less and less. The initial sting of Emily's indifference had dulled into something quieter, an understanding that I could no longer ignore. I had spent so much of my life trying to be the sister who gave, who cared, who held on to memories like they were the most precious things in the world. But what if Emily simply wasn't the same? What if she loved me in her own way, just not in the way I had always expected? That thought settled in me like a soft whisper, making me question everything. One evening I got a call from my mom. "Emily was talking about the album today," she said. She said she felt bad for not reacting more at the shower. She really loved it, you know. I sighed, twirling a loose thread on my sweater. "I'm glad she liked it." "You don't sound like you mean that," Mom said gently. I hesitated before finally admitting, "It's not that I wanted a thank you. I just wanted to matter. Not just because I made her something, but because I am something to her." "Does that make sense?" Mom was quiet for a moment. "You do matter, sweetheart. But people show love in different ways. Maybe Emily isn't the type to get sentimental over things like photo albums. Maybe she expresses her love in ways you don't always see." I let that sink in. Had I been measuring Emily's love for me by my own standards? Had I been expecting her to react in a way that she simply wasn't built to? I thought back to all the time she had checked in on me when I was sick, the way she always made sure I was included, the small moments of sisterly love that weren't grand gestures but were there nonetheless. Maybe love wasn't always loud. Maybe it wasn't always wrapped in sentimental words and deep reflections. Maybe it was just existing in each other's lives in ways big and small. That night, I sent Emily a message. "I'm really happy for you, Em. You're going to be an amazing mom." Her reply came almost instantly. "Thank you. And I love you, you know that, right?" I smiled, a genuine warmth spreading in my chest. Maybe I had been looking for something that was already there all along. Life moved forward, as it always does. The baby shower became a distant memory, replaced by doctor's appointments, nursery preparations, and the ever-growing excitement of a new baby entering our lives. Emily and I didn't talk about the photo album again. She never gave me a grand apology or a heartfelt speech about how much it meant to her. But in small, subtle ways, something between us had shifted. She started calling me more often, not just for baby updates but to ask about my day, to share little things that made her laugh. She sent me pictures of the ultrasound, captioned with, "Auntie, get ready." And maybe that was enough. Maybe love wasn't always about dramatic gestures or deep acknowledgments. Maybe it was about the way she made sure I was still part of her world, even in the smallest ways. One afternoon, as I was folding laundry, my phone buzzed. A message from Emily. "Emily, Mom and I were organizing the nursery today. I found the album again. I actually cried looking through it. You really put your heart into it. Thank you for always being the one who remembers everything." I stared at the message for a long time, feeling something inside me settle. She had seen it. Maybe not in the moment I had wanted her to, but in her own time, in her own way. And that was okay. I smiled as I typed back. "I'll always be the one who remembers. That's what sisters do." And for the first time in a long while I let go of the hurt completely, because love, even when unspoken, was still love.